All right, let's just get right into it. We're about to open up the family album, but we're going way, way back to a time when things got, well, a little complicated. Get ready, because today we're talking about the very messy and honestly pretty surprising sex lives of our earliest human ancestors.
You might think scientists are all serious and above a little bit of good old-fashioned gossip, but it turns out that's not true at all. In fact, right now they are absolutely buzzing about our ancient family secrets.
So, what's the big scandal? Well, it looks like our early ancestors, the first Homo sapiens, were getting frisky with some other species. And this isn't just some wild rumor. The evidence is literally written in our DNA.
For the longest time, we were all taught that human evolution was this nice, straight, clean line, a simple progression, right? Well, turns out it's less like a tree with neat little branches and a whole lot more like a tangled, thorny bush. So let's meet some of the key players in this drama.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, we first need to get the timeline straight and introduce the main characters who were roaming the planet back then. So here's the basic story we all kind of know. Homo sapiens, that's us, we show up in Africa about 200,000 years ago. After just kind of hanging out there for 140,000 years, we start migrating out into the rest of the world. And guess what? When we got out there, we were not alone. One of the species we met was the Neanderthal. Now, quick fun fact, you probably say Neanderthal, right? But in the scientific community, it's Neanderthal. Why? Because the cave in Germany where their first fossils were found is the Neander Valley, or Neanderthal, pronounced with a hard T. Anyway, they were our relatives, but from a whole different branch of the family that had split off hundreds of thousands of years before. So, here's the million-dollar question. Did this whole different species thing stop our adventurous human ancestors and the Neanderthals from, getting to know each other? The answer, as it turns out, is a big, resounding no. And here is the hard proof, right there in our genes. Genetic studies show that a lot of us today, modern humans, are walking around with between 1% and 4% Neanderthal DNA. Yeah, even though they went extinct 40,000 years ago, a little piece of them lives on inside us. So much for a pure human lineage, huh? Oh, but the story does not end with Neanderthals, not even close. Scientists also found evidence of another ancient relative, the Denisovans. And yep, you guessed it, we interbred with them too. In fact, today you can find traces of their DNA in people all across Southeast Asia. It really seems like our ancestors were playing the field. Okay, if you thought that was weird, I need you to just hold on. We're not done messing with your whole concept of humanity just yet. This next part of the story gets way, way stranger, and it all comes down to lice. Seriously, stick with me here. So here's a bizarre little fact for you. Most mammals, right, they have just one species of lice that lives all over their body. But humans, oh no, we're special. We have two totally distinct species. One for our heads, and another one for, well, our pubic region. And believe it or not, that difference is a huge evolutionary clue. Let's break this down like a detective story. Step 1, we've got two kinds of lice. Step 2, our head lice are, genetically speaking, our own unique thing. But step 3, our pubic lice, their closest living relative isn't our head lice. It's the lice that live on gorillas. I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. Yeah, that is a direct quote from the actual researcher who figured this out, which, let's be honest, is a perfectly understandable reaction when you uncover a potential link between humans and gorilla lice. But hey, before you run for the shower, let's add some context. This didn't happen last week. Scientists think this particular interaction most likely took place around 3.3 million years ago, with our much, much more ancient ancestor, Australopithecus. So you can relax. But still, wow. So after all these bombshells, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and yikes, ancient gorilla lice, what does this all mean for how we see ourselves? The big takeaway here is this. Human history is not some simple story of one species just marching forward all alone. It is a complex, messy, tangled web. We are the product of countless interactions, a living mosaic of ancient DNA from relatives we never even knew we had. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. If we've uncovered all of this in just the last few years, it really makes you wonder,
What other incredible family secrets are still hiding, locked away in our DNA, just waiting to be discovered?